All right, with that, we'll jump into it. So, Sunny, Margaret, thanks very much again. Lovely to speak to both of you, and looking forward to the next 30 minutes or so before we jump into the Q&A. So, Sunny, I'd like to start with yourself. As I mentioned there in the introduction, we've seen, I suppose, a pickup in pace of the evolution of the channel over the past couple of years. And I suppose that's largely due to, the cloud offerings, the emergence of the new breeds of partner types, as we call them. So I'd like to kind of get your thoughts, on some of the key elements that vendors need to take into account when modernizing their partner incentive programs. So an easy one to start with, Sunny.
Thanks, Kenneth. Yeah, I mean, I think the principle of why vendors offer incentives to partners in the first place remains pretty much the same, right? But it's really about evolving the programs to meet the changing channel landscape, right? So, we want to incent the partners for their loyalty, for bringing end customers and revenue to the table. How the program rules are defined need to be a little bit more modernized. So paying, much higher for percentages for SaaS solutions, for example, or adding programs to capture business from referral and influence partners. And so those are some of the things that I have looked at, especially in my previous role, because I just started here at SentinelOne just last week. And also ensuring that you're capturing, the existing business, right, of the older products, but then how are we also going to incentivize for the newer cloud offerings? That's something that's always, front of mind for us in programs and also in operations. And then just making sure that we're differentiating, the difference between those different offerings of the legacy products as well as the new cloud stuff. And then I think, for the referral business, right, it's a trend that we're seeing more and more. How are the partners, influencing and referring opportunities to us? And so we want to make sure that we're capturing a way to incentivize that as well. And, I think the most critical thing is to really have a systematic approach to how we execute and measure these incentives.
Okay. That's really good. So yeah, and it's interesting there. You talk about the referral business kicking in, and we've seen that with a lot of our customers, the vendors we work with. And part of that is some of those partners don't want to take that transition into the monthly recurring revenue model. They're not prepared to take that kind of dip. So we see vendors kind of hitting that from two angles. One is creating those referral programs, which are still relatively new. And lots of people are kind of struggling on, well, how do you run that referral program? What do you pay out on it, and so on. But also on the more traditional approach to incentives, paying out on closed business. Certainly, the percentage range is definitely much higher. We see, without giving away the game on anybody, most people are paying into double digits on that. We see for the monthly recurring revenue type products or the SaaS offers that they're having. Is that kind of aligned with what you see in the companies you've worked for in that space, or would you see it as different?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something that we're trying to understand, right? Because a shift in that sort of model, we need to make sure that the incentives are supporting those new business models. And so, it hasn't been easy, definitely, but it's something that we are looking at to see, how do we make the incentives current and applicable to the different models that we're seeing out there.
Yeah, and at the same time, not impacting, because business goes on, right? You got to do the transition, but pay the bills, I suppose, as well. So the legacy business, if you like, as the transition, is still a higher percentage of overall revenue until you get there. So that's where I see, people are kind of struggling with that split, if you like. How do they do that? How do you coax partners to do the transition, but still keep incentivizing them to do the traditional business, the on-premise, if you like, for example? Okay, right. Good. Yeah, good. Okay, no, that's great, Sunny. Thanks very much. So I think Brenda, we want to take another quick poll before I move on to the second topic.
Perfect. So just in relation to referral programs, we just want to know, does your organization offer a referral program to partners? So that's an easy one. And again, as I mentioned, if you've any question for Sunny or for Margaret or for Kenneth, just pop them into the question box and we will get to them towards the end of the webinar.